Hi viewers, how you doing? My name's Steve Donahoe from Quora, and as you see, I'm a Quora writer, and I've been with Quora since 2016. I actually have 1.6 million content views and around 60,000 this month in a lot of the actual answers that I write. So what I want to do is someone actually told me that the answers that you do well, why don't you start narrating them and putting them on video? Because that would help others to be able to actually hear it if they can't read properly and they have a hard time reading. But if they actually hear it, they would have more of a time of absorbing it and understanding it more, and it'll be kind of more personal by doing that. And I kind of thought about that, and I said, you know what? Actually, that's not a bad idea. So what I'm going to start doing is on my video channel, I'm going to leave aside a area of Quora with my actual answers that were popular, and I'm going to narrate them and see how that goes. So we have more of a personal point of view with this, and maybe if you see these and you read them and it actually touches you or actually you can relate to it, then I'd ask you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now, the one I want to do about, I have also an actual, if you have a look, it's called Post Your Animal Pics, and I have about 2,500 subscribers on Post Your Animal Pics, and what I do is I post all things about animals on it. And this was one of the actually ones that I posted as well when I was on Quora about in regard to animal. And I would like to read it to you so you can actually hear what the story is all about. And the actual question, the first question was if we have a look, I'll just go into my content, because what I do is I usually put it on the front of the page. Let's just see if I can get that back again. That's not what I'm looking for. What they normally do is they get you to have a profile, and you can pin your favorite ones on so people can come in and have a look at it. But for some reason, I'm stuck in a mode here right now, so I'm going to have to get out of that. Bear with me for a minute. We'll go back home here and see if that helps, and then back into my actual profile. Okay, let's see if that helped. Okay, there it is there. All right, so the question was, I just adopted a dog. Whenever you try to pet her, she always ducks down to avoid your hand. Does this mean she has been abused in the past, and how do I teach her I'm not going to hurt her? So I answered the question with a story, okay? And it kind of related to the actual question, but it became more of a story, and it came pretty popular on the answer. And I would like to share it with you, and I'm going to read it. Forgive me if I make any mess up as far as reading it goes, because the actual the words are kind of small. So this is the actual answer that I gave about my dog Angel. Okay, so I'm going to start off with it, and I hope you like it. So this story is around 36 or so years ago, so it's quite a while back. I'm almost 61 now, okay? But I still recall how this angel came into my life. So please enjoy my past experience of this episode of my bonding years. I was working on my car one day in my garage and had the roller door open. As I was working, I heard a small whine and saw a beautiful little puppy just looking at me with such a sorrowful look upon its face. I stopped my work and walked over to pat it. It immediately crouched down and started shaking in fear. You could see how scared it was, seeing my hand come down upon it, but I just rested my hand gently on this puppy and started to stroke it with love. In 1 minute, the puppy was licking my hand, and the face from fear turned to joy, and it picked itself off the ground. I then said, "Go home," but the puppy just looked at me. I kind of tried to shoo it off as I knew it was not my dog, and I went back to doing the work on my car. My car door was open, and this little puppy limped over and jumped into my car and hid itself between the seats and curled up in a ball. Now I could see why the dog was acting this way, as it obviously was being mistreated and beaten. I went again to grab the dog, and it started shivering like it was cold, but more in fear of being abused. Again, I patted it with love until it felt secure to allow me to pick it up. Now I could tell this dog was female, and I felt a connection with this bundle of joy. It looked hungry, so I took it inside and fed it some of my food left over. It gratefully ate and drank what I felt would nourish it. My wife at that time was at work, and when she came home, she told me to take it to the RSPCA. But in that moment of trust, we actually bonded together. I was scared of having it returned to the owner who was abusing it, so decided to submit a lost ad in the paper and see who would claim the dog, and how it reacted to the owner if they claimed her. There was never any response, so I decided to keep the dog for myself. She was a red heeler and had dingo features and very muscular. I thought of Bev Francis, the female weightlifter, because of her definition. I would estimate the dog to be a few months old, but could also see she had a problem with her hip also, that sometimes it locked up on her when she was playing with me. We clicked, and it was the start of a loving relationship like no other that I ever had with previous dogs. About a month later, she was getting strong and became a great watchdog. But not only that, she was very smart and learnt things very quickly. The newspaper boy would throw the paper on the porch, and she would bark to let me know it was there. I trained her in 1 day to actually go out and fetch it and bring it inside, and she learned by me saying, "Good girl," and it became a daily ritual where she would wait for it to arrive, then wag her tail in anticipation for her to collect it. At this time, I had not named her anything, so I thought of the name Angel because she came at a time I was deep in my depression and seemed to be sent to help me just as much as I helped her. So Angel it was. I taught her in the backyard to walk across a ladder, which she again learnt in a day. But this trick actually almost caused me to lose her. As I came home from work, I always left her in the backyard, and we had a brick fence that was at least 5 foot tall. Angel was nowhere to be seen, and I remember I left the ladder propped up against the fence on an angle. This was a way for her to climb the ladder and make her way out. It was like losing my child. I felt something of emptiness, that she was gone and headed back to her abusive owner. We searched for her around the area to no avail, and then disappointment arose on my face, and I headed back home sad. But the sadness became joy, as I saw my Angel waiting at the door with the paper in her mouth. But my anger was more aroused than my love, and I took that paper out of her mouth and I struck her on her behind 3 times with it. Again my Angel cowered down as I raised my hand and struck her. She had her tail between her legs as I sent her back to the backyard. As my anger subsided, I opened the door, and in came Angel following me to where I was. Sitting on the sofa, she curled up next to me with love, and even though I struck her in anger, but more so fear, as I had lost my best buddy. One thing, Angel never distanced herself from me after that day. She would never venture from me in seeing distance again. My wife could not understand the bond we had between us and the affection this dog shown itself to me. She was my protector and my love. I gave her, she gave me in return. She kind of pushed my wife aside as she slept in my bed and used to put a paw on me to say that I was hers. She tolerated my wife, but there was not that attraction, as she was not so much of an animal lover as myself. We were inseparable. I would take her with me to my job, and she would stay in the truck with me all day on my routes. She was known as the mascot of the business thereof. As time went by, we moved on with our lives, changing direction, but Angel was always by my side in times of depression, and even when I was sick. She sensed when I was sad and ill, and always pushed herself into me to comfort me and show me love. We moved a new direction and moved to another part of the state. We drove a small car across the desert of the Nullarbor Plains with Angel in the rear seat. The heat was unrelenting and the trip took 3 days to reach our destination. We decided to take a break and see some scenery over the Great Australian Bight. It was a windy day and we were overlooking the breathtaking scenario of such a powerful ocean looking over the cliffs that were 100 feet high. For some reason, Angel would not venture closer, and I had the leash on her. When a strong gust of wind pushed my back and made me feel like I was going to be pushed over, but Angel stood her ground, and the tension between her and the leash allowed me not to be pushed any further. Yes, Angel was called her name for a reason that day. I honestly believe, without her being with me that day, that might have been my last day on earth. Projecting now into the future, Angel was now around 10 years of age. I spoiled her too much, and she was now showing it by obesity and less activity. In the morning, I came out to see blood in her food dish and in her water. I thought maybe it was just a bloody nose like we have, but decided to take her to the vet to check her out. I waited one more day and could see how she was attaching herself and snuggling up to me to console herself. Something was not right. I took her to the vet where they said they would keep her overnight for more tests. I did not sleep that night as I knew something was wrong. My fears were confirmed as the vet called us for the diagnosis. Angel is bleeding internally inside and is drowning in her own blood. Not only that, your dog is diabetic. Did you know that? I was dumbfounded and in disbelief to what they were telling me. So I asked them, what do I do? They said, we can operate and see what is causing the bleeding. Plus, you'll have to take care of this dog by injections every day. Your breed of dog has maybe 2 years of life left in her of suffering and distress. She is sleeping right now and is not suffering. We suggest we put her to sleep to end the suffering forever. This was a harder thing in what was a hard life in the first place to endure. And to hear that the angel in my life was going to be taken away forever just broke my heart completely. I told them I cannot say goodbye, and could they take care of everything for me after the procedure. They said yes, and sorry for my loss. I cried like a baby for 3 weeks, straight thinking of the love Angel showed me before she knew she had to say goodbye. My wife said, why am I crying for a dog? But I said to her, you will never know the true meaning of love between a dog and its owner. We separated not long after this, as honestly, there was never any true love between us both anyway. We knew that it was just a matter of convenience for both of us. Right now I am crying just writing this story, as she was part of my soul. And God even know, I really did not know it after trying to take my own life twice, put an angel in the form of a dog to take this manic depressive man to show true love is obtained through him, even being used by a dog. Because after all, dog, spelled backwards, means God, and he is love. This is about the closest picture I remember what she looked like. Rest in peace, my baby girl Angel. So that's the actual picture of her, and that's what she did look like. She was a lot more obese as time went by, but she had the same features of that, and I miss her sadly. So by narrating this, I hope it was more personal for you. I'm sorry if some of the mistakes were there, but I don't rehearse this, and I just do it live, as not trying to hide myself, as just who I am. Okay? So I thank you for your time in reading this and listening to it, and I will start putting more on Quora and make an area for Quora itself on my YouTube channel. So if you decide that you like these and you want to actually hear them, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you, and God bless.